Have you ever paused to truly consider your place in the vast, sprawling tree of life?
Yeah, I mean, not just thinking back a few generations, your parents, grandparents.
Exactly. Imagine tracing that family tree back millions and millions of years, right to the very roots of what makes us, well, human.
Today, we're embarking on quite an incredible journey, really. A deep dive into human evolution.
And our mission, essentially, is to take this stack of sources specifically curated for Mr. Chi's grade 12 life sciences class
Right.
and sort of distill them down, get to those aha moments about our origins and, our unique spot in the animal kingdom.
Think of it as your ultimate shortcut to getting clued in. We'll unpack these sources, tackle the tricky bits like phylogenetic trees, look at anatomy, fossils, genes, even tool making. It's a fantastic story, and we want to make it really accessible for you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Where do we even fit in the grand scheme of things? The big picture.
Well, the first step is classification. Scientists use this system, the Linnaean system. It places us, Homo sapiens, which, fascinatingly, means wise man.
Huh? Wise man.
Squarely within the kingdom Animalia. We're animals.
Okay, that makes sense. Kingdom Animalia. And then...
And we narrow it down. Classomalia, we share key traits like nursing our young, having hair, typical mammal stuff.
Got it. Mammals.
Then order primates. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Think about characteristics you recognize.
Like opposable thumbs, 5 fingers.
Exactly. Opposable thumbs, 5 fingers. We have nails instead of claws, and those forward-facing eyes giving us that great depth perception. Classic primate features.
So that includes monkeys, apes, us.
That's the group. And within the primates, we belong to the family Hominidae. This is a more exclusive club.
Hominidae. So that's humans, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans, our closest living relative.
Precisely. The great apes and us. And then finally, within that family, we get to our specific address. Genus Homo and species Sapiens.
Homo sapiens. Wow. Okay. So that's our classification, our place pinpointed.
It's like a biological GPS, yeah.
Now, you mentioned visualizing these connections. That's where phylogenetic trees come in, right?
Absolutely. These trees are, well, they're basically diagrams, branching diagrams that show evolutionary relationships over vast timescales.
So kind of like a family tree, but for species?
Exactly like that. The root, or the base, represents the common ancestor for all the organisms shown on that tree.
Okay.
As you move up the branches, you're moving forward in time.
Right, towards the present.
And each point where a branch splits, that's a speciation event. It's where one ancestral line diverged into 2 or more new species.
And the closer the branches are, the more recently they shared an ancestor.
You got it. Closeness on the tree indicates a more recent common ancestor.
Looking at figure 2 in the sources, the primate phylogenetic tree, it really brings this to life.
It does, doesn't it? Just belonging to Hominidae tells you straight away that humans, chimps, gorillas, and orangutans share a common ancestor somewhere back in time.
And what's really striking looking at that diagram is how close the human and chimpanzee branches are.
Right. Marker D on that figure shows our shared common ancestor lived around 6 million years ago. That's incredibly recent, evolutionarily speaking. It really highlights our close bond.
It really does. And you can see other splits further back, like the gibbons branching off earlier at marker B, or the common ancestor for the whole hominidae family way back, maybe 10 million years ago at marker C. These trees make it so much clearer.
They turn abstract concepts into something you can actually see and interpret.
Okay, so we know where we sit in the family tree. But let's dig into the specifics. What characteristics do we actually share with our African ape cousins, and what makes us unique?
Great question. Because even though we diverged, we still carry so many fundamental traits from that shared ancestry. Figure 3 gives a good overview.
Like our brains.
Yeah, definitely our brains. Relative to body size, hominids, that's us, and the great apes have significantly larger brains. Allows for really complex thinking.
And our vision too, right? The forward-facing eyes.
Binocular vision, exactly. 2 eyes working together gives you brilliant depth perception, good color vision, like the chimp you see in figure 4. Super important for navigating, finding food.
Makes sense. What about our bodies? Limbs?
Well, think about how flexible your arms are.
Yeah.
You can rotate them right around at the shoulder, twist your forearm.
Yeah.
That flexibility comes from our tree-dwelling ancestors. It's great for reaching, swinging, manipulating things.
And our hands and feet are pretty special too.
Oh, absolutely. Bare fingertips, really sensitive pads, flat nails, not claws, and crucially, that opposable thumb, figure 5 shows it clearly. It's just brilliant for gripping.
That thumb really is a game changer for so much of what we do.
Totally. And while most apes aren't walking upright all the time, they do have stronger back limbs. They can stand erect, like the gibbon in Figure 8 shows, even if it's not their usual way of getting around.
And we also share things like sexual dimorphism, males and females looking a bit different.
Right. Different sizes or features, plus no tail, and we're generally active during the day diurnal. Lots of shared ground.
But then came the big split. What really set our human line apart?
The big one, the revolutionary shift, was habitual bipedalism, walking on two legs as our primary way of moving.
While other apes might do it occasionally, we're built for it.
Exactly. And the advantages were huge. Think about it. Standing tall freed up our hands.
For carrying things, food, maybe babies, making tools eventually.
All of that. Carrying food, using tools, handling weapons later on. Plus, standing tall gives you a better view. You can spot predators or maybe prey much more easily over grassland.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other benefits?
Well, it's actually more energy efficient for covering long distances compared to knuckle walking, important for early humans ranging widely.
Ah, right. Less energy used.
And it helps with keeping cool thermoregulation. Less of your body is exposed to the direct sun when you stand upright, more is exposed to cooling breezes.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Some even suggest it played a role in courtship displays. So this simple act of standing up had massive consequences. It reshaped us.
So how did our anatomy actually change to make this happen? The sources mention the foramen magnum.
Yes, the foramen magnum, it's the hole at the base of the skull where the spinal cord connects. In us humans, Figure 9 shows it's positioned right underneath, centrally.
Balancing the head on top of the spine.
Precisely. Perfect for upright posture. In apes, it's further back, angled for a head, held forward on a more horizontal spine.
And the spine itself changed too.
Big time. Look at Figure 10a. The human spine has this S shape, multiple curves.
Right, it's not straight.
That S curve acts like a spring. It helps balance our upper body over the pelvis and absorb shock when we walk or run. Ape spines, like in 10b, are much straighter, more C-shaped, less stable for standing upright.
Okay, skull base, spine shape. What about the pelvis?
The pelvis underwent a major redesign. Figure 11b shows the human pelvis. Short and wide, almost bowl-shaped.
Compared to the ape pelvis in 11a, which looks really long and narrow.
Exactly. That short, wide shape in humans supports our internal organs against gravity. And crucially, look at Figure 12b. It angles the thigh bones, the femurs, inwards towards the knees.
Why is that angle important?
It brings our feet more directly under our center of gravity when we walk. Makes for a stable, efficient stride, balancing on one foot than the other. The ape pelvis doesn't do that. It's built for power and four-limbed movement.
Wow. Skull, spine, pelvis, all tweaked for walking upright. Any other big anatomical differences?
Oh, yes. Let's look at the head again, specifically the cranium and teeth. Figure 13 is a great comparison. Our brains got much, much bigger over time.
Tripled in size, the sources say. That's huge.
It is, and that required a larger cranium, the part of the skull enclosing the brain.
And that relates to the brow ridges, right? Apes have those massive ridges over their eyes.
Very prominent, yeah.
Yeah.
See Figure 13 again. Humans, on the other hand, have very small brow ridges, or none at all. Our forehead is flatter, more vertical, making space for that expanded frontal lobe.
What about jaws and teeth? Figure 14 shows quite a difference.
Definitely. Apes tend to have protruding jaws. We call that prognathism. Their faces jut forward.
Whereas human faces are much flatter, less prognathous.
Correct. Our jaws are smaller. This ties into diet changes, especially with cooking, which we'll get to. And look at the teeth. Ape canines are often large, pointed, almost dagger-like in some males.
Ours are tiny in comparison.
Tiny. And the overall shape of the dental arcade, the palate, is different too. Humans have a more rounded, parabolic, or semicircular shape, while apes often have a more rectangular shape, suited for different diets.
And those ridges on top of some ape skulls, cranial ridges, Figure 15 shows them.
Right, like the sagittal crest you see on gorillas or some early hominids like Paranthropus. That ridge is an anchor point for massive chewing muscles.
Muscles needed for tough, fibrous plant matter.
Exactly. As diets changed, and especially as we started processing food, those huge muscles weren't needed anymore, so modern humans lost that ridge. Table 1 in the sources is a really useful summary of all these contrasts.
Okay, so we've seen the anatomical differences, the blueprint changes. Now, what's the actual evidence that supports this whole story of common ancestry and evolution?
Great question. There are 3 main lines of evidence that scientists rely on. Think of them as 3 pillars supporting the theory: fossil evidence, genetic evidence, and cultural evidence.
Let's start with fossils, the bones.
Fossils are like snapshots from the past. They show us what organisms looked like millions of years ago. By finding fossils of different ages, we can see gradual changes in anatomy over time, tracing lineages.
And the sources focus on 3 key genera: Ardipithecus, Australopithecus, and our own genus, Homo.
Exactly. Let's take them in order. Ardipithecus is the earliest we know of, living around 5 to 4 million years ago.
Like Ardipithecus ramidus or Ardi, found in Ethiopia.
That's the one, discovered by Tim White's team. Ardi was small, chimp-sized brain, still climbed trees, judging by the pelvis. But the foramen magnum was already shifted forward, suggesting it could walk upright, at least sometimes. It's a fantastic transitional fossil. Very prognathic jaw, but smaller canines than chimps.
Okay, so Ardi sets the stage. Then comes Australopithecus.
Right. This group thrived from about 4 million down to maybe 1.6 million years ago. And here's a key point. All Australopithecus fossils have been found only in Africa.
Only in Africa. Where specifically?
Primarily the East African Rift Valley, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and also importantly, South Africa.
South Africa. That's where we find famous fossils like Lucy. Oh, wait. Lucy was Ethiopia, wasn't she?
Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, was indeed Ethiopia, found by Donald Johanson, about 3.2 million years old. Great evidence for bipedalism.
And the Laetoli footprints. Tanzania.
Yes, Mary Leakey found those. Footprints fossilized in volcanic ash, 3.5 million years old. Undeniable proof of upright walking.
Amazing. What about the South African finds?
Hugely important. Raymond Dart found the tongue child, Australopithecus africanus, back in 1924. Then Robert Bruin found Mrs. Pleels at Sterkfontein.
And Littlefoot.
Littlefoot. Also from Sterkfontein. Discovered by Ron Clark. An incredibly complete Australopithecus skeleton, possibly older than Lucy, pushing back dates for bipedalism even further.
And there's an Australopithecus sediba too, right? From Malapa Cave.
Yes, discovered more recently by Lee Berger and his son Matthew. Caribou is the name given to one skeleton. Sediba is fascinating because it lived quite late, around 2 million years ago, and shows this intriguing mix of Australopith features and traits we see in early Homo.
So possibly a link to our genus?
It's a strong candidate. It shows less prognatism, changes in the hand, but still a small brain. Across Australopithecus, you see this trend. Definitely bipedal, maybe getting slightly better at it, and brains slightly increasing in size, but still relatively small.
Okay, then we get to Homo, our own genus. What defines Homo?
The big jump in brain size is the key marker. Starting around 2.2 million years ago, Homo species had brains roughly 30% larger than the Australopithecines.
And the first one is Homo habilis, the handyman.
That's him. Found by the Leakeys in Tanzania. Lived about 2.2 to 1.6 million years ago. Brain around 650 milliliters. And significantly, habilis fossils are often found with the very first simple stone tools.
Tools. We'll come back to that. Who came after habilis?
Homo erectus, upright man. Appeared around 2 million years ago, maybe a bit earlier. First found by Eugene Du Bois, way over in Java, Indonesia.
Outside Africa.
Yes. Erectus was the first hominin known to have migrated out of Africa. But the oldest erectus fossils are found in Africa. They were taller, had significantly larger brains getting close to 1,000 milliliter, and made more sophisticated tools like the classic hand axe.
And they lasted a long time.
A very long time. Maybe until just a few 100,000 years ago in some places.
And that leads us to us, Homo sapiens.
Modern humans. Appearing in the fossil record in Africa around 200,000 years ago. Think of the Omo fossils in Ethiopia, found by Richard Leakey's team.
And our features. Big brains, flat faces.
Exactly. Brains averaging 1,200 to 1,800 millilel, no big brow ridges, flat face, small teeth, and eventually much more complex tools and culture. Figure 21 shows that lineage nicely.
You mentioned South Africa being important, the cradle of humankind.
Yes. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, an area near Johannesburg encompassing sites like Sterkfontein, Swartkrans, Kromdraai, Malapa. These caves have yielded an incredible wealth of fossils. Australopithecus africanus, Sediba, Paranthropus robustus, early Homo. Almost 40% of all the world's hominin fossils come from this relatively small area that's absolutely crucial.
It sounds like it. And looking at figure 22, another phylogenetic tree, it really emphasizes that it wasn't a straight line.
Not at all. It's a bush, not a ladder. Look at all those branches. Many different hominin species existed, often at the same time, in the same places. Species like Paranthropus robustus were successful for a long time but eventually went extinct. We, Homo sapiens, are just the last surviving twig on this very complex bush.
Sobering thought. Okay, so that's the fossil evidence. What about genetics?
Genetics gives us another incredibly powerful line of evidence. Comparing DNA lets us see relationships that fossils alone might not reveal.
And we share a lot of DNA, don't we?
An amazing amount. Between any two modern humans, the DNA is 99.9% identical on average. Tiny variations account for all human diversity.
And compared to chimps.
We share about 98.8% of our DNA with chimpanzees. That 1.2% difference represents about 6 million years of separate evolution, but the similarity is profound.
The sources highlight mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA. Why is that special?
Right, mtDNA. It's found in the mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells, not the cell nucleus. And crucially, as Figure 28 shows, you inherit it almost exclusively from your mother.
So it passes down the maternal line.
Exactly. And it mutates at a relatively steady rate. So by comparing mtDNA sequences from different people around the world, scientists can build family trees and estimate how long ago different populations shared a common female ancestor. It acts like a molecular clock.
And what does this mtDNA clock tell us about human origins?
It tells a very clear story. The greatest diversity of mtDNA types, the oldest lineages, are found in Africa. Meaning modern humans originated in Africa. All non-African populations carry subsets of the genetic diversity found within Africa. The study suggests that the mitochondrial Eve, the most recent common maternal ancestor of all living humans, lived in Africa around 150,000 years ago.
Wow, so genetics points straight back to Africa.
Unequivocally.
Okay, fossils, genetics. Yeah. What's the third pillar? Cultural evidence.
Yes, cultural evidence, primarily tools, but also things like fire and art.
Now, other apes use tools sometimes, right? Like chimps using sticks for termites. Figure 24 shows that.
They do. But there's a huge difference between using a found object like a stick or a stone and systematically manufacturing tools to a specific design and then improving that design over generations. That's unique to the genus Homo.
And we see an evolution in tool making, too.
A clear progression. Figure 25 lays it out. The earliest are Oldowan tools, associated with Homo habilis, starting around 2.6 million years ago. Basically, simple choppers and sharp flakes knocked off a core stone.
Pretty basic, but a start.
A revolutionary start. Then, Homo erectus develops the Acheulean technology about 1.7 million years ago, characterized by the hand axe, a much more purposefully shaped bifacial tool.
More complex to make.
Definitely requires more planning. Then with early Homo sapiens, tools become even more refined. Smaller, sharper flakes, maybe hafted onto handles around 250,000 years ago. Sure. Later still, around 50,000 years ago, you get long, sophisticated blade tools, and eventually things like spears with carefully crafted stone or bone points about 20,000 years ago.
And eventually metal tools much later.
Right, around 5,000 years ago. This technological trajectory shows increasing cognitive ability, planning, and skill transmission.
Beyond tools, what other cultural milestones were key? Fire.
Controlling fire was massive. We don't know exactly when it started, but it offered warmth, protection from predators.
And cooking.
Crucially, cooking. Cooking makes food softer, easier to chew and digest, and unlocks more nutrients. This likely influenced the reduction in our jaw and tooth size, and maybe freed up metabolic energy that could be used to fuel our growing brains.
Plus, sitting around a fire sounds like a social thing, too.
Absolutely. A focal point for social groups, sharing food, perhaps developing language and culture around the hearth.
And then there's art.
Art is profound evidence of symbolic thought. The earliest hints might be engraved ochre or beads from around 100,000 years ago in Africa. But the really spectacular stuff, the cave paintings like those incredible sand paintings of Eland in Figure 26, appear around 40,000 years ago.
What do they signify?
Complex thought, communication, maybe ritual or spiritual beliefs, things that go way beyond basic survival, truly human behaviors.
Okay, so putting all this evidence together, the fossils found only in Africa early on, the genetics pointing back, the cultural developments, it all leads to one major hypothesis, right?
The out-of-Africa hypothesis. It's the most widely supported model for the origin of modern humans.
And the basic idea is, Figure 27 shows a map.
The core idea is that Homo sapiens, our species, evolved in Africa first, probably somewhere in East Africa, around 150,000 to 200,000 years ago.
Okay, born in Africa.
Then, much later, maybe around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, populations of these modern humans began migrating out of Africa and spread across the globe, eventually replacing other archaic human populations like Neanderthals and Homo erectus that had migrated out earlier.
And the evidence we've discussed strongly supports this.
Overwhelmingly. Let's recap the evidence for out of Africa. Fossil evidence, Ardipithecus, Australopithecus, Homo habilis, all found only in Africa.
The early stages happened there.
Right. Then, the oldest fossils of Homo erectus and, crucially, Homo sapiens are found in Africa. Younger fossils of these species are then found progressively further away, tracing the migration routes.
That makes sense. A clear trail.
And the genetic evidence we talked about, the mitochondrial DNA, the highest genetic diversity is in Africa. All non-African populations carry only a subset of that diversity.
Indicating a founder effect from those who migrated out.
Precisely. The molecular clock dating also puts that major migration event around 60, 70,000 years ago. This timing actually coincides with a period of climate change during an ice age, when sea levels were lower.
Making it easier to cross, like out of North Africa or across the Red Sea?
Potentially, yes. Lower sea levels might have created land bridges or narrowed sea crossings, facilitating that expansion.
Wow, it all fits together remarkably well. What an incredible journey we've covered today.
It really is. From finding our little branch on the primate tree,
Through the huge anatomical shifts that came with walking upright.
to piecing together the story from fossils, genes, and the tools and art our ancestors left behind.
It paints such a clear picture of our African origins and how we eventually spread across the entire planet.
And, this isn't just some abstract story about ancient history. It's our story. Understanding where we came from, our connection to the rest of life, it gives you a real appreciation for the journey.
Absolutely. It gives context to who we are today, the forces that shaped us.
It truly does. It connects you to this immense, millions of years long process.
So thinking about that ongoing process, as you consider the rapid changes happening now environmentally, culturally, technologically, what do you think is next? What might be the next big evolutionary step? Maybe not physically, but culturally or cognitively for Homo sapiens.
That is a fascinating question to ponder, isn't it? Where do we go from here?
Something for y'all to think about. It's been a fantastic deep dive.